music has always been a big inspiration. That I listen for the story and the song or the sounds. I love to listen to other artists talk, like their interviews, reading a book, and just that. Or if you're walking, I like to walk a lot, and sometimes I'll play this game where you pass somebody and they're in a conversation and you get just a few words, and then you're like, let's turn that into a story,
Welcome to Clothing Coulture, a fashion industry podcast at the intersection of technology and innovation. I'm Emily Lane.
And I'm Bret Schnitker. We speak with experts and disruptors who are moving the industry forward and discuss solutions to real industry challenges.
Clothing Coulture is produced by Stars Design Group, a global design and production house with more than 30 years of experience. Welcome back to another episode of Clothing Coulture. This week, I am absolutely delighted and excited to bring to you a conversation with a longtime friend and a fashion designer I have admired for years and years, Michael Drummond. Welcome!
Thank you. That's so sweet of you to say.
He's come such a long way from downstairs.
Yes, I have. It's true. Yeah, that's
miles
Shrek.
and miles.
Well, we are fortunate to have you in an atelier at Stars
Set up
Design
a cool
Group.
little atelier downstairs, and Emily's got a direct shopping experience.
Yes, she does.
Wonderful.
And I pinch myself every day. Every day I go
great.
down there and I'm like, this is amazing.
Well, you have had such a fascinating career to me. I first became familiar with you when you were on Project Runway, which is such a spotlight. Here you are, you're on the stage in front of millions. I'd love to talk with you a little bit about what that experience was like and how it shaped you as a designer today.
And you looked like that tall. Now, I had a small TV at the time, but
Really? You thought everybody
you
would
look
always...
so young.
That's so interesting. People would always say, oh, I thought you'd be taller. And I was like,
Oh, that's hilarious.
Well, you have a tall personality.
I thought you'd be nicer.
You were very nice on that season.
I thought so.
No, they didn't say that. I was saying I'd say that to them, but I digress. I think, the question, when you said millions.
Yes.
You're like, holy shit, now I'm going to be nervous.
Maybe, yeah. No, my strategy was this camera in my face, and I've worked on the other side of that camera. So I kind of had a vibe of what they might be trying to do or whatever, But I never really, I just thought this is just a black hole that nothing exists behind here. So don't get nervous about that.
Yeah, it's just a person, right? That's holding the camera.
It was, everybody was, all of the cameramen and the PAs, everybody's in black and they all stunk. And I mean, I was thinking, everybody was in sweaty, hot Parsons. They turned off the air conditioner.
Yeah, I saw that. So many episodes, people were dying.
Yeah, because they don't want the sound to trip up the air conditioning to trip up the sound.
Up the sound, yeah.
Oh my God.
It was so hot. Dead
A
of
sweatshop.
summer. Just, yes, literally, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So, I mean, the
So
experience
sweatshops still exist in fashion.
They very much do, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
In New York City.
Parsons
And
would
in
really
New York,
like to be called
all
out for
across
that,
the
but
world, unfortunately. But I think, I like
maybe
to...
we should cut and turn off our air conditioning just so you feel...
Is it on right now?
I don't know.
It is. These things are
More
blowing right over
comfortable,
here.
so,
These
yeah.
pieces of clothes. I like to be cliche about it and say it was the best of times and it was the worst of times. Yeah, it was. I met so many incredible people. It's a gauntlet. You're forced to create so quickly, and you either make it or you don't. And I met a lot of really incredible people. I met some crazy people. And I bet that some of those crazy people thought that they had met crazy people. So it was a really interesting kind of community. And I feel as if when they reached out to me the first time, I was like, no, there's no way. I'm a knitwear designer. I wouldn't know what I'm doing. And then they reached out again and I was like, well, why not?
Yeah.
And they gave us these 200 or something page psychological exam kind of thing, questionnaire,
Wow.
And I mean, I
Which
think
we all fail. We're in the fashion
I
business.
feel like probably, I don't know. Yeah, but it was,
They're they're crazy, bring them on.
kind of like the, the same question asked in a different way over and over again. And I thought it's really interesting because I think they had a psychologist talk with us afterwards. And I think that they were making the perfect storm.
Yeah, that sounds like it.
So
Right.
I thought the same thing. I thought, they want drama.
Yeah.
So they're probably doing these psychological tests to say, okay, that's
Here's a
going to
clash
be a
up.
shit disturber. Let's put him
Yeah.
on.
100%. And I think, it was on Bravo. Those, what was it, 7 years, I think. I was season 8. And then it switched to Lifetime. And I didn't even, it didn't click to me, Lifetime, Bravo. They're
Drama's higher on Lifetime.
work.
Yeah.
So I remember there was a moment when I was
Someone must die on the set. Under Lifetime.
I mean, they
the
would
knife.
Figure out who it was.
almost died.
It was the boyfriend that was chagrined 5 years ago. Or
Exactly.
something.
They kind of want you half dead, I
Yeah,
think.
right.
But I remember there's a moment when I was in the restroom and I was just like, this is not as much about design as I thought it was going to be. Washing my hands. And, that's your one reprieve is go to the restroom because there's no camera people or anything. You're still mic'd, whatever.
Yeah.
So.
Did that pressure in dealing with, a very complicated environment and a broad range of personalities, did that help kind of prepare you for, I don't know, life on your own as a designer?
I mean, yeah. I was still pretty young and green then.
You looked green on the set a couple times.
Yeah, yes, yeah. Well, the crafty wasn't great. But or the things that they'd put us through, right?
Probably the heat.
Oh my gosh, yeah. With that one episode with Ivy where I was just like, I wanted to pull my mic down and be like,
and you were so nice.
They're playing us, girl.
You were so nice, and Ivy fell for it though.
It's hard.
And you were nice.
It's hard because it's you got so much pressure.
Yeah.
There's $100,000 or whatever at the time, and but I feel like after that, of course, there's so much. This is we could have a whole podcast about the whole experience.
Yeah.
But I feel like afterwards, it did thicken the skin, and I watched my other contestants / friends navigate that world too, and I kind of watched how they what they did that worked and what they did that didn't, and I kind of followed that track and tried to stay authentic with myself.
Yeah.
And I feel as if a lot of opportunities came, some good, some bad, and that was nice. And I feel like today I wear Project Runway like a really loose cloth that it's either yes or what are you talking about?
We all watch these wild shows. We watch, fashion shows and cooking shows, and they're all under these pressure cookers, like almost unrealistic time frames. And you kind of think, hey, look, design's a creative process. Were there people on there that were brilliant designers but failed because they couldn't withstand the time test, right? Because creative takes time, right? Sometimes you got to sit there and percolate a little bit, and you draw or drape a mannequin, it doesn't look right, and you want to be able to tear it down. In this situation, you don't have that luxury. You are moving at light speed, and I'm not really sure, is that reality? Well,
what you see, what they say you get is what you get.
Unbelievable.
Minus the time that they pull you from the room to have you talk your interview. So
you have less time even.
Yeah, but everybody pretty much has the same amount of time subtracted because of that interview. Give or take camera malfunctions, whatever.
Yeah. But did you feel like you had enough time to really?
No.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's so interesting.
But in that way, I mean, I'm pretty good under pressure, but yeah, I think that, you have no time to think about making a mistake.
It'd be interesting to have a show that says, hey, look, we've got a project and you got plenty of time to do it. We'll edit out all the creative time, but,
then
go
there's
create
no
a collection.
drama. Then you've got your
true.
artists hanging back at the Paris Cafe and they're smoking their cigarettes.
That's
and
true.
I'll get to it.
Yeah. And do they get to it? I guess probably. Sometimes.
Probably, yeah. Depends on which one.
Something that I've learned about you is that you excel in having your alone time and quiet time, that it's a big part of your creative process. And I'm just curious, going into the limelight and now being more in a public's eye, how was that for you from, an emotional standpoint of now now people think of me differently or want something from me, or was that a difficult thing for you?
Yes.
Quick answer.
Yeah, absolutely, Emily. That was very, very difficult. And luckily, I had won a competition in St. Louis that at the time had felt like a big deal. But I mean, it was. But for me, I was like, okay, well, this is a really cool opportunity that shows that, like, okay, I've got kind of what it takes. And my world changed after that small, design competition in St. Louis. People were changed. Opportunities changed.
Yeah.
And I knew that going in to Project Runway, no matter what the outcome, everything was going to change. Like the way my family saw me, everything. And that I don't think anybody can really prepare you for that.
Right.
So I knew it. And I remember I called my best friend after they called me to tell me they were, letting me on the show. And she said, I would be filled with trepidation. No congratulations or anything.
My.
And I was like, yeah, you're probably right. But it's okay. I think that, again, I think it's like, for me, it's the most important thing was just finding the people that didn't change and knowing, like, what was my goal? What was my vision? Why did I do it? And try not to get sidetracked. Because I think that there's a lot of devils and gods outside.
Yeah. Chirping on your shoulder.
Yeah.
You've had a unique opportunity to get your hands in different facets of expression with regards to fashion. You've curated exhibitions. You've had your own exhibition with the World Chess Hall of Fame that married these concepts of being played, which I think is so apropos post Project Runway. How does art influence fashion and fashion influence art for you?
Thanks. I was thinking when you were saying that, I was like, God, I'm really lucky. This has been a nice little ride. I'm excited to take it further. It's interesting because you hear some designers that I really admire and think of them as artists say it's not art. And I'm like, what are you kidding me? Like, I get a visceral reaction from Alexander McQueen in the way that, like, when I hear, like, Arvo Pärt play, a composition of his, or, like when you see a Frida Kahlo painting. I get that same reaction. So when I hear, like, people that I admire in the fashion world say things like it's not art, it's totally different, I'm like, I guess maybe because they're so beat down by the commerce aspect of it, maybe.
It is a unique bend, but I think we paint with fabric and they paint with brush. Artists, painting artists will paint with brush. It is art. I mean, creativity, exploration, evolution. We're every bit the art scene that any other kind of genre of art exists, I think. The only little nuance to that, and probably the same nuance for a working artist in painting too, has to be a little bit like, I'd love to make a living doing what I love to do, right?
I would think so.
And fashion is, the only thing that I think is unique about fashion is that you don't bring a painting with you and walk around with this painting through the street saying, this is me.
Yeah.
When people put clothing on from fashion designers, they sort of wear it as a badge of who they are. They're part of this particular tribe, or that look inspires a particular emotion or feeling from wearing a particular garment. So, those are kind of the nuances that I see when it comes to fashion, because it's ever present. We're wearing it all the time. You do have to develop a tribe if you're going to, there is a commercial aspect to it, but I don't think it's a departure from art and design. I mean, at least the successful ones, right?
I don't. I mean, did you have something? I have.
I was just when you were talking about that, there's a commerce to all, a lot of successful art forms. Successful painters that can sell a painting for $1 million. It's still art. Just because they're selling it doesn't mean it's not art. So
most of them are dead. Someone else is selling it. So
Right.
Unfortunately, that doesn't work.
Poor
so well
Van
for
Gogh.
most artists. Yeah.
Food is art. We pay for food, but we go to
Right.
restaurants where the food is exquisitely plated and the nuances of flavors are complex and layered. So there's there is art in this. I guess it's a fair question to say, how is you as an artist, as a designer, how do you balance that need for commerce, because you do need to sell to make a living, versus maintaining true to yourself with regards to your artist heart?
I grew up in the 90s, so we would always say, like, these things, these trendy things that we talk about, like, that guy's a poser, or
Yes.
you're a sellout, and I totally subscribed to that idea. Like, I used to dive in dumpsters, in St. Louis and Ninth. There used to be a rag mill, and my friends and I would go that were interested in making clothes for ourselves, nobody else, because we couldn't find the clothes we wanted. And, we would be like, that was our vibe. That was our expression, and that was our art. And I'm not gonna bend the crowbar. We live in like a capitalist world.
Yeah.
So I want to be able to create. I'm gonna find the way to do it in the most ethical way that feels still punk. Like a la Vivienne Westwood or whomever. So I'm like, that's kind of where I feel. I hope I'm making sense, but
You are.
I feel like I want to make work. I want to be able to employ great other artists or craftspeople. Maybe arts and crafts are the same, but and I want to be able to do it in a safe environment with a living wage, so that we don't have to worry about my car broke down or whatever.
Even though your car broke.
It did several times.
Yeah.
And I want to be, because then you can freely think about the art that you want to make. You don't have the buzz of your outside world.
But in your creative process, when you're designing a collection together, are you pursuing it from a discovery process and a pure design process, and you hope that your audience gets it and buys it? Or is there any element of your design where you go, I blew out of that moo-moo, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to do 4 more moo-moos, but I'm going to update them. Is there a part of, commercial thought process or merchant process? That's probably a better word.
Good call.
Do you have to play merchant and designer as you're creating? Do you think about those things, when you're creating collections with respect to even silhouette or fabrication or color?
Absolutely. And I feel like that I've been pivoting all the time within the past few years, because I do have several approaches. One is, yes, that moo sold, and then they asked for pockets. So I added those.
There you go, evolution.
Innovation. And new fabrication, new design pattern. Keep that silhouette because it's still selling and it's bread and butter.
Yeah.
And then there's also spaghetti on the wall. Like, I'm thinking about this, just do it, and who cares?
Yeah,
like,
but that's the assortment, right? It's kind of like I'm stretching and being super innovative here, and I'm being really artistic and hope somebody gets it. And then I'm kind of balancing it with the merchant aspect. And I think that kind of it raises the bar as an artist, because you do have to think all those things.
I think so. And I mean, you look around at fashion, and we've got Instagram and all these things that are like regenerating the same thing over and over again. We've got the cafe with the fiddlehead fern and the, everything, the tile, and everything's the same. And I think that's sort of happening with fashion too. Thank God for street photographers and certain bloggers. But I do think that, like, mainstream fashion, even these couture collections, I'm getting underwhelmed. And I think it's really exciting to see the young designers who don't have the finances, who do the spaghetti on the wall, create. And they also, I have found out the hard way that we have to make things that, I don't think my stuff is boring, but there are some pieces
Your
that
stuff
I'm like,
is not boring.
Thank you. But I do think there are pieces that I make that are very usable.
Yep.
Yeah. Like the piece I'm wearing today.
Yes, exactly.
Versatile,
Exactly.
usable.
Yeah.
It has pockets, all those things you need.
And you can take it traveling. Exactly.
So you talk about the spaghetti on the wall. That spaghetti is coming, that sauce, the special sauce, right? It's getting inspiration from somewhere. What are your sources of inspiration that you draw upon?
I mean, Emily, everything. Yeah, everything. I think music has always been a big inspiration. Like listen for the story and the song or the sounds. I love to listen to other artists talk, like their interviews, reading a book, and just that. Or if you're walking, I like to walk a lot. And sometimes I'll play this game where like you pass somebody and they're in a conversation and you get just like a few words and then you're like, let's turn that into a story, you know?
Yes.
Or so anything. And I mean, there was this, when I was in community college, I had a really great photo professor named Janice Nesser Chu. And I don't know the name of this artist, but she could tell you. But she wasn't well known, but she would restrict herself to photographing only one room of her house. Mm-hmm. So like finding the light on the corner of that table and making it abstract. So I think that that's a really cool process. Mm-hmm. And I feel as if when I'm now pivoting and, you know, using mostly dead stock materials, that forces me to find that special thing.
Yeah.
Or how can I manipulate it to make it special?
That definitely harkens back to your dumpster diving days. Is that when you realized you wanted to be a designer? When you making clothes that nobody else had?
I don't remember when, Emily, but I think that I used to dress my sister's Barbies up all the time. And like I was obsessed with Catwoman. So one of them totally got like, you know, electrical tape wrapped around her and she was...
I think you're still obsessed with Catwoman.
I am. I mean, she's downstairs in like an unopened box. Yeah, no, Catwoman is a very distinct point of departure. Mm-hmm. I mean, look, she was like all done and then deconstructed by the end of the film.
Right.
Yeah, and it's a sex pot and she was tough.
Yeah,
it was actually a Catwoman movie. It wasn't a Batman movie.
You're
pretty sure.
absolutely right.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
Is that what you think when you design? You think I'm designing for Catwoman?
No, I don't. I used to think like, would Tori Amos wear this? Oh, that's what I would think. And I still probably think that a little bit. Like I'll go back on her archives. I'm totally blanking. Karen Binns, I think is her name. That's her stylist, and I just love her. And the interesting thing about Karen Binns is she mostly styles like hip-hop artists.
Oh.
It's crazy.
And that's not Tori's style.
No.
Yeah.
Like it's like her catalog is all these rappers.
Yeah.
And then Tori Amos. So I'm always like...
amazing storyteller. Tori Amos is an amazing storyteller.
Amazing storyteller. And now I think about... like what would Emily wear, or what would my friend Saskia or Manon wear? Because they're who I'm dressing, and those are the people I care to dress, and they're my tribe, I think. So.
Absolutely, your tribe. Yeah, I'm looking forward. I have a major birthday coming up, everybody, just in case you didn't know. It's one of those decade birthdays.
21, and she can really drink.
I cannot wait to wear one of your latest, boldest pieces. And I'm
in
definitely...
the City of Light.
Yes, that's right. So we'll make sure and share a photo of that because it is extraordinary.
Thank you. It's all coming together. That's going to be a powerful day.
I know.
Gosh, I'm excited. Thank you for letting me be a part of it in some way.
Of course. So as a designer, you have good days, bad days, hard moments, and wonderful moments. Give us an example of like, what's one of the moments where you're like, I've accomplished this great goal. Life is amazing.
Well, the first thing that came to my mind was when Sophia Hedman, the curator for our Queen Within, I had worked with her as like kind of help styling the dresses for the catalog. She was I think in London, and so it was over Skype, and we had a rapport. She's very, very kind, present person, and she had to come to St. Louis for the final installation, and I had a fashion show happening, and I didn't know she was there, but she was in the audience, and she saw some of my shoes. I made these really weird wooden shoes.
I remember those.
Yeah, and later she said, I'm really interested in your shoes, and I was like, you can't really wear them. They'll kill you. Like you'll fall over. And she was like, no, for the exhibit.
That's what a few Parisian designers know, and they design them anyway, right?
Yes.
In shoes.
Yeah. Oh, they were like,
Emily's
who cares?
got a ton of those. She's
You'll
like,
be
my
fine.
feet are killing me, but I'm still wearing them.
I mean, what? Yeah. Just
50-pound shoe, no problem.
What do the kids say? F around and find out or something like that.
That's right.
But but yeah, so she wanted to put him in the show, and I pretty much lost it for like 3 days. My boyfriend was like, people usually cry when they're sad, and I was like, time for you to go.
Yeah, this is a
I
big
was
accomplishment.
so happy.
Yeah, to be in an exhibition celebrating Alexander McQueen.
Yeah, and other amazing Vivienne Westwood.
Yes.
There was Comme des Garçons. Like,
Yeah, that's great.
That's pretty amazing.
It was amazing.
This is a touring exhibit that's still touring today, isn't it?
It is not currently touring, but it has been, I think, I can't speak for, don't shoot the messenger, I'm not sure, but I think it's being divided up for new exhibits.
Okay.
Oh, that's great.
So yeah.
All
and they
still
still
being
have my
seen.
shoes, so maybe they'll land somewhere.
So we all kind of have these tough days. We have these, or tough periods or tough moments. And, you know, you kind of think designers need to be actively inspired and in a good frame of mind to design collections. I think one famous designer that M tends to like a lot when he was alive, Alexander McQueen,
Yeah.
right? He kind of was inspired through challenge, right? You know, he battled emotional challenges, and it drove him to create despite difficult times. What was a difficult time for you? And what was a real difficult period? And did that hinder creativity? Did that make you question, you know, your career choice, or did it inspire evolution and passion to create a collection, you know, based upon that? You know, does creativity and design help you work through challenge? Or, you know, are there moments where you have to take a break?
I guess, I don't know how this is going to sound, but I feel like pain is subjective. So I don't know what, I can empathize, but I'll never really know what someone else is going through. But I
Sure.
like to think I probably had a pretty hard life.
Okay.
And I feel, you know, and speak to my family on my choice.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of like soul searching and finding the right people to like make sure that I wasn't in a pit somewhere.
Yep. That can be difficult.
And I think a lot of the time, so this is such a funny question, just because today, even my meditation was about discomfort, that I listen to one every morning. And, you know, then I'm like driving and my car's like, wah, 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 and I'm like, really? I think
You're going to get that
discomfort.
message over and over.
Yeah, and then I talked with my friend in LA this afternoon, and she's having a really hard time. And my advice was, this too shall pass, and the best advice is to talk about it and do the work. You know, you have to put action, because action is, what did she say? She said, oh, the idle hands are the devil's playground. I work. That's how I cope with, like, I create.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what did Meryl Streep said? Take your broken heart and make art with it.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I think I do that all the time.
Yeah.
That's how when I'm sad about the world's state of the world, like, you know, I'm like, what can I say that's not like beating someone over the head, but it still makes me feel like I've said something.
I think you've done that very successfully. You know, some of your recent work is showing this beautiful, thoughtful embroidery that, you know, it's the weeping eye over the Capitol pillar, you know, things like that, you know, they're not in your face, but there's definitely the feeling of you know, what's going on right now, and it's coming through in a really sophisticated way.
Thank you.
And I think that's something I've seen year over year with you. So you're a really wonderful innovator and a good storyteller about what's happening in our times. We just did a full podcast recording on the Paris Fashion Week, spring, summer 2026. And we found that just to be a common theme of what's happening in the fashion industry right now. People are really focusing on their work as a social commentary, but not in a, again, in your face way, as a way to showcase hope positivity, light. I just think it's an amazing thing what's happening right now. Like fashion is coming together as a community to unite and, show strength. Do you think that community plays a big role in buoying yourself as a solopreneur?
I think it more so now than ever. I think that, it's not great to be on an island by yourself. So, that you're going to run out of, what is it? Things to talk to, plants or whatever. But I think community does play a role. And I'd love to be able to, why am I not thinking of the word that starts with a C right now? Collaborate. Thank you so much. Yeah. Collaboration, because collaboration will put you out of your own box. You might butt heads, but if you can get through, you're going to be bigger on both ends. And we need community. And even if you don't agree with somebody, it's so much better to talk it out or to hear their side. In anything that you do, whether it's at the grocery store or, I'm terrible. I hate driving. I'm not that. Maybe one day I'll be a better driver, but I'm an angry driver.
Oh, so dream for you is to be able to have your own driver.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Actually, I love
even
easier, just nice public transport. I like that. Yeah. It's so neat to get on the. Speaking of community, you go on a bus and everyone's on it. Yeah. I mean, especially in a major city, you are forced to be with everyone, or you are going on obviously by your own choice, but your community, yes, it's so important. I mean, we're humans. That's how we evolved, is through our community. So we need each other.
And it's so weird, human, I don't know, physics, if you will. You compress people in a tightly knit group, and it gets too tight, and that group explodes. And likewise, today we have so much divisiveness in our society, trying to rip people apart. And the result of that stretching out, is that community starting to develop with like-minded interests. We're seeing this growth and building in community. And I think it's healthy. I think, being able to surround yourself with other creatives and hopefully inspire each other and help each other answer questions, I think is going to rise the tide. We live in a challenging time for designers. We have department stores that don't pioneer new brands like they used to. We have overcrowded online web space. There are a ton of challenges out there. And how do you get your voice out? And, it's enough in a day just to be creating new garments. Then you have to all of a sudden put all these other hats on. That's challenging. And I think some of that can be solved by community.
Well, we're doing that with United Coulture.
That's right.
That's right.
I mean, I just, even in the email, Feek Rich, I said, I can help you with this.
That was a wonderful, today we've got a really good partner that's weighing in on helping designers within this community and hopefully expanding throughout the world, frankly. And this guy is the epitome of community. He steps outside of himself. He's a go-giver. Great guy.
Yeah. And that action will inspire more action.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was inspired by that action.
Me too.
How can I be better?
Yeah.
And I've never in my entire existence as a person in the fashion world experienced anything like this. So that is, for me, my highway is opened up again.
Yeah.
And my highway was totally closed.
Yeah.
And I was like, go in the dark woods or something.
All those things start rising up. And I think we have to break those walls down again and realize that, look, this is holistic people helping each other. And if we all stay consistent, we all stay focused, it will work.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so interesting, even per our earlier conversation, we're so not used to that, to having that.
Yeah.
We're a little bit like, what's really going on here? Right. But what if it doesn't? What if it doesn't have to?
Yeah. It sounds so traumatic.
Yeah, a little bit. But I think,
it's designer PTSD, frankly. It's hard to overcome those over year after year after year. And I think, look, there's no, in all good business, you see, even in business that we're in, the business of fashion, when the client wins and we win and the factory wins,
Absolutely.
the tide rises, everyone can win, right?
Right.
There's not this level of distrust. Good business tears down walls, where in some cases politicians try to raise walls, different power struggles exist. Good business and good philosophy and good, I think good intention, as much as we can be as broken human beings, the tide can rise. Everyone can see a benefit, and I think it'll tear down those walls and we'll see success.
Absolutely. I was thinking about Fern Malice when you were talking about that.
Yes.
And how she talks about, Michael Kors had a fashion show and like the bass was bumping and the ceiling was crumbling and it was unsafe. And they were like, we need a place to like show our work together. That's a place we can go to 2 times a year, and have the space for all our collections. They came together.
Yeah.
And that's New York Fashion Week.
Right.
Isn't that amazing?
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And that's what we got, Paris,
Yeah.
Milan.
All over
Yeah.
the world. Their fashion weeks.
They're everywhere.
I was shocked at how many fashion weeks, over 140 around the world. And that's a statement of excitement.
It is.
Knowing that the world is embracing fashion as art, in my opinion. And you see a rising collab, right? And I think that's this little fringy part of community starting to raise up and saying, hey, maybe we need to get together and try something.
We absolutely do. I think I see it happening, and I'm really excited about the nouveau fashion,
Yeah.
the future.
So what's next for you? Anything exciting on the horizon?
Well, my corset's going to Paris, which is
Yes.
and I'm gonna get through the holidays, so work that out. Like that's bread and butter. And my plan is I'm in a really great space right now. I'm able to take some risks, so I'm gonna take those risks because this is the chance for me.
You're not growing if you don't take risks.
Yeah, and you're really not, right? You're kind of coasting.
You said yesterday, and I loved it when you said this. You said that you're going to put your risk into work rather than life. And I think that's pretty darn good advice.
Pretty profound.
I said that. That's cool.
You did. I made note of it. Like I typed it down. I'm like, Michael Drummond quote.
But yeah, no, I totally am. I'm positioned right now. I'm so lucky. Like I had really hard 5 years or whatever. And I'm just like, okay, I'm in a space where I can take some risks with my work, be it like physically and or just commercially. And I want to do that. And I want to,
And it's interesting when you say you take risks, the outcome is so unbelievable. You call them risks. I call them creative works of genius because you look at these things that you consider like the push and you're like that piece that, Emily's going to wear in Paris. Everyone that sees that piece is just blown away. And that had to be an element of risk for you. It was a lot of work, certainly, right? That was something that you probably stretched the boundaries of understanding a touch because you had to play with so many different materials and it was out there. But I got to tell you, that thing should have a spotlight on it spinning saying Michael Drummond, because it's just an insane piece.
Thank you. Yeah, it was what do you call it? Like a trance. So I didn't really. I mean, I'm glad that it ended up the way it did, and I definitely fought with it a bit because I'd like laced it up, and I was like, "That's not it," and I just wanted it to be. But I also was in a zone, man. Like,
I love the zone.
Yeah.
Because when you're in the zone, wow.
Yeah.
Watch out.
So, yeah.
You made that piece originally for the Alt Ball, which we had a conversation with your good friend, Mondo Guerra, during the Alt Ball, because he came in for that. And I remember, seeing this exploration as you worked through that corset. That's such a meaningful event and a wonderful way to stretch your creative limits, participating in adventures like that.
Sometimes you need those things that maybe are, like you said, like a risk where you're like, I might not make anything, but this is my opportunity to make something outlandish or whatever. And really push your own boundaries.
Yeah.
And hopefully, I had a vision for that course, and that was not what happened.
Isn't that how it always is?
I like how it ended.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I think about sculptors. I don't remember who the quote came from, but it was somebody that worked in stone. And as you're chiseling away stone, you start and you have this idea of what this sculpture is going to look like, but there's little fissures and cracks in stone and things break off, and then all of a sudden you're reinventing your idea. And I think fashion is much the same way. Like, you get your hands on it and the fabric might not drape the way you want it to, or this thing might not be able to accomplish what you had in your head, but in the end, something better comes along.
Totally. And there's that moment when that thing breaks off and you're like, oh no, this is terrible.
It's all over.
I want to quit. And then maybe you put it down, but then you're like, okay, what's the new way to see this, right? And then that's when I think the sweet spot happens, because, at least for me, because then you no longer are in your kind of like your path. You're now taking a new journey, like a new discovery on that design. And it might be something unusual. And if you can save it and make it workable and beautiful,
And it's a whole story behind its evolution.
What did Sharon say? I'm going to mispronounce her last name.
Sharon Grobard.
Thank you.
Yeah.
She told me about this artist who, of course, I don't remember, but I'll tell you and we can link it. But she said, he had a community of painters, and, he would go to his studio and everyone was painting. And then they would one by one leave the room, and he'd continue to paint. And eventually he left the room.
Oh.
Like, the spirit came in.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. And I feel like I've told other artists that, and they're like, what you just did.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's what that corset was.
Okay. I feel so honored. Well, before we wrap today, I would love it if you could share some advice to some aspiring designers who maybe, like you, are dressing Barbies or dumpster diving and, can't find what they want, but believe that they might have a chance in this industry. What advice would you share?
I would say be kind, and you're going to obviously have ups and downs. And just keep putting the work in. Believe in yourself, even when maybe nobody else does. And have fun.
Yes.
Absolutely, you've got to have fun. Otherwise, why do it? And I think being nice. Like, have integrity. This isn't a race. If you race, you're gonna miss stuff. So don't do that. And have fun and.
I think that's all great advice. Yeah. I mean, having fun, it is important.
Yeah.
If you love your work and you live your work all the time, find the joy.
Totally.
That's better advice than run.
Which is advice you sometimes share.
That's the advice I share.
Just run.
What are you doing in this business? Run.
I go on really slow walks. drives my boyfriend mad, but I'm just like trying to embrace my inner Southern gentleman or something.
There you go.
Well, you're looking for those opportunities of inspiration.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, thank you for this amazing conversation.
Thank you for
I know
having
it's
me.
one that we could just continue on forever.
We might have to.
Well, thankfully, you're just right downstairs.
Yeah,
We'll
sure
keep the
am.
conversation going.
There'll be a new podcast. It'll be 6.5
we'll be in
hours
Chicago.
long. Yes, for sure.
We'll make sure to share some photos of this amazing piece we've been talking about. We'll share information on how to get in touch with Michael if you want to see more. Follow our socials, because that's where you're going to find that information. And do not forget to subscribe to stay apprised of upcoming episodes.